Please excuse the sound quality. Just starting out. Red Dead Redemption 2, my most anticipated game this generation, releases in just a few hours. Put simply, Rockstar Games are unparalleled in open world game development. You won't see them sharing screen time at conferences, you won't know what's in development until they want you to. They have financial security and then some. They've been in the business since they made it a business, and as for competitors, even Call of Duty and Battlefield back off when Rockstar decide it's time to bring out the big guns. This is the developer that created the open world genre. They own the biggest AAA franchise that has ever existed, and have more critically acclaimed titles than any other developer in the industry. Maybe but Nintendo. Rockstar announced Red Dead Redemption 2 700 days and some change ago, with nothing more than a bright red letter R adorned atop a mountain of GTA 5 tweets. The gaming community, myself included, almost lost their damn minds, and have since kept our sanity only through the drip feed of screenshots, articles, impressions, and trailers. In that time, we've learned that this game has technically been in development for 8 long years. This is not the product of 1 or 2 studios, it is the culmination of every studio owned under the Rockstar umbrella, working united as one. We're talking Toronto, San Diego, North, New England, London, Lincoln, Leeds, International and India. That's 9 studios working simultaneously on one game. These are studios that have released genre-defining games, creating their first truly built from the ground up open world game on current generational hardware. Their sequel to one of the most critically acclaimed games ever made, with an abnormally long 5 years breathing room from the last release. This is a game that needed no introduction, but as it happens, spamming refresh on Reddit isn't a satisfying way to endure the final week. Who knew? I cannot begin to express how exciting it is to be so close to something anticipated for so long. So let's jump into why you clicked on this video in the first place. What are the influences behind Red Dead Redemption 2? What do they suggest about the direction Rockstar have taken? And how do they affect the game we will receive on Friday? This video is looking at the inspiration taken from Rockstar's previous titles, the trailers and how they compare to popular film, and anything else I can rip off from people smarter than I am.
Just a bunch of crappy opinions backed up by even crappier comparisons.
Basically, I just want to talk about what I think is cool and for people to tell me what they think in the comments. Beginning with the trailers, you'll immediately notice a resemblance to modern Western movies. There Will Be Blood, Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, and most glaringly, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. The inspiration is unmistakable. Look at these shots side by side, how the train light casts shadows through the trees, illuminating the crouched figures while they wait in silent anticipation. Even thematically we can draw similarities. The slow deterioration of a once respected leader, crumbling under the weight of their mental illness and responsibility. As a fan of the film, this is exciting to me. I hope Red Dead is inspired by the film's glacial pacing. I love that guns can fuck up. They need cleaning and proper maintenance to be reliable. I want to be reminded of my fragility as a human, to die easily, not deal explosive brain-popping blows and take grazes. I want to reenact scenes like the point-blank shootout in the attic. There's this wonderful moment where Bob is reminded that the body of the man he murdered won't disappear just because he wants it to. This is something Rockstar have spoken about on numerous occasions to the press. Animals will start to smell and decay if you don't sell them in time. Human bodies don't evaporate into pixels, they rot and stink, attracting scavengers or official investigations. What I love about this is the suggestion that this world is not made to be convenient to you as the player. The world reacts to what happens in it, and you must deal with that. Shoot a man, well, what are you going to do with the body? His blood's on your shirt, so you better hope there are no people nearby. Or maybe changing clothes would help you lay low. How are you going to buy anything all bloodied up and untrustworthy? The world is reactionary. It gives the scope for the possibility that my journey will be unique, something developers often promise and rarely achieve. I like the emphasis on realism, up to a point. Fun and engagement are paramount, and consequences are balanced. This emphasis on sort of realism has been with Rockstar since its conception. Insert segue to my favourite Rockstar title, Canis Canemedit, later known as Bully. For those who haven't played, Bully was extraordinary. What made it feel unique is that every single classmate you came across was a person with their own phrases, reactions, and clique. It was basic, but the simplicity of the design, repeated over every character, created the mirage of a believable, living school. You begin to recognise styles, faces, voices, which locations rule under which cliques. You learn that some girls like flowers, some like chocolate, some kiss easily, some boys kiss too. Some kids pick fights, some put up a fight. Some don't know how to defend themselves, some learn how to. In Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar are displaying a similar system and blowing it up. The way Arthur interacts with people is identical, but the consequences of his interactions and the variety of the actions look much, much deeper. But what does deeper really mean? It means that this mechanic is being used for every NPC in the game, in a world that is undoubtedly leagues larger and more detailed than the small town of Bulworth. The complexity of the interactions available to the player has also expanded. Our communication is no longer binary, and each character's reaction to you will be impacted by your physical and verbal approach. This is cool because I'm used to playing games in which the bad guy is some copy-pasted bold dude. Every merchant is the same weird little kid teleporting all over Egypt. All soldiers wear the same mask, the flamethrower dudes all have the backpacks that go boom when you shoot them. We don't know that Red Dead Redemption 2 will completely avoid this. I'm sure there'll be the occasional generic suited bureaucratic cannon fodder, but the message Rockstar have honed in on every interview is an attempt to disguise the game from the player, to create a world that lives and breathes whether you're in it or not, to create characters that do not live to serve you as their protagonist. You play the extra in their story. They want the people coming to hunt you down to feel like characters, not easy flesh and meat, and the options to communicate, diffuse, antagonise, threaten, scare, bribe, ignore, greet, unholster weapon, cock gun, shoot in the air. The list goes on apparently. Demonstrates their dedication to make this a reality. I'm hoping this kind of mechanic gives me the choice to be a real bastard if I want to, but through the character of Arthur. I can be as mean as he can be, or as nice, but I'm still restricted to the things he would or could do. This is the evolution of the wedgie simulator that was Canis Canem Edit. Now I'd like to talk a moment about Max Payne. Screenshots and trailers have marked a return to form for weapon storage. Just like Max Payne, Arthur does not possess the superpower to carry a military armory in his invisible weapon wheel. All available weapons are visible and strapped to your steed or self, meaning you can equip only the guns you choose to carry. I absolutely love this. It just feels more real. No longer can I run into every gunfight alternating between my 3 rifles, 2 shotguns, 8 pistols as they run out of ammo one by one. Now I better be smart, hitch my horse to the sweet spot close enough to make a quick exit but far enough to avoid the crossfire. I'd better consider a while which weapons will be the most valuable to me in each scenario. Equip some, strap the others, clean to prevent jamming, and load to prevent death. The reason this is cool to me is because moment-to-moment gameplay becomes a little more methodical. It forces you to spend a little longer thinking about your actions, the potential for failure and its consequences. It makes you vulnerable. You're not an infinite ammo rodeo god raising hell, you're a dirtbag cowboy whose gun jams and whose horse outs you like a snake if you don't brush it right. On the topic of gunplay, as Reddit user I can't remember eloquently puts it, stumbly bumbly physics are back in action. First created for GTA 4, spaghettified in Red Dead Redemption, and stripped in GTA 5, we've got people falling flat-faced, horses flinging folk, heads popping back. It looks great, and it's so good to see Rockstar have returned to these satisfying, over-the-top physics which make the guns feel weighted and the murdering feel brutal. Some people hated GTA 4's driving, but I loved it. I loved the way the vehicles tilted side to side as you steered, how the metal completely collapsed in collisions, each accident feeling unique and heavy. I liked that it completely ruined your car too, making me follow the rules of the road whenever I found my favourite, and stealing shitty cars when the compulsion came to get completely mangled. It's the perfect example of how a semi-realistic world can immerse you in its ridiculous logic. My hope is that GTA 4 has been used as a much broader guideline for Red Dead Redemption 2 than in physics alone. GTA 4 struck the perfect balance tonally, because it felt satirical but not excessively tongue-in-cheek. Rockstar's criticisms of America likely made up half the budget of GTA 5, which is in-your-face, plastic and hyperbolic, appropriate for the faux LA setting. GTA 4 was much darker in tone, and I think the perfect balance for Red Dead Redemption 2 is to replicate that same self-awareness in its writing, realise how ludicrous and self-indulgent the heists and set pieces are, but still believe in the characters and story being told. I want to have the freedom to tie people in a line on train tracks and watch them squish, but I also want the game to make me feel like a piece of shit for doing it. Now, it's been 5 years since Rockstar released GTA 5, so let's talk about who they've had their eye on in that time. Surprisingly, Assassin's Creed Origins is making a show with Eagle Eye for hunting. It sounds to me like the kind of detective mode bullshit mechanic that's going to get boring quick as every developer races to emulate it, but I won't bash it till I play it. I'm also getting strong Naughty Dog vibes from the gunplay and realistic animation showcased throughout. The many ways Arthur mounts his horse, how the horse flicks and trots, the reload animations, the deformation of the snow. As interesting as it is to see what they've been stealing, it's equally interesting to look at what they're visibly one-upping and avoiding. When I look at the open world on display, the first thing I think is, that looks detailed. Over and over we're told about the detail, the absolute vastness and sprawling emptiness that on closer inspection is teeming with secrets and stories. Maybe it's just me, but the lighting and even the vibe of the environments, especially in the woodlands, gives me real Fallout 4 nostalgia. The god rays and thick fog through the trees and surrounding your ankles in the bayous is very reminiscent of the nuclear storms that pulsate through Boston. The difference, and where I think Rockstar are both learning from and one-upping Bethesda, is that Bethesda is all about environmental storytelling. It tells tales through corpses and objects, and is immersive because you personally connect the dots to make up the fuller picture. Rockstar, however, are working with contemporary storytelling. They want to create a sense of place and history as you wander through this world, but to do so actively in a living environment. For the world around you to be organic, reactionary, unforgiving and authentic. It's pretty clear Rockstar have been paying attention to the industry around them in the lustrum succeeding GTA 5. Yet again, I think they're gearing up to make another generation-defining experience, and prove as always that they are the winners of the eternal dick-measuring competition that is the gaming industry.